Now we have got few questions in Q&A box for the discussion. So I would request chairpersons to ask the questions to our speakers alternatively. So please, J.S. Anand sir.
So the first question from Dr. Sushil Patel is there any role of early insulinization for reducing legacy effect? Any of the panelists, sir?
I think I'll take the question. I am Deep Datta from Delhi. I really enjoyed all the talks. It's a great question. I think there is definitive evidence. There's a lot of data to show that, especially when we have severely uncontrolled diabetes, patients coming to us with HbA1c of more than 10, if we can give even intensive short-term insulin therapy, a majority of the patient not only goes off insulin, they might even go off all the oral diabetes medications also. So there is a lot of data to show that beta cells recovery, the glucotoxicity and lipotoxicity is best reversed at least transiently with insulin as compared to oral anti-diabetes medication.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Datta. I'm Dr. Sanjeev Phatak. And I always call it as a power play.
Before session start, 5 minute पहला लोगों ने.
So just like in cricket, when the first initial overs are important, if you play these overs very well, you probably win the game. Same is true for diabetes also, I think.
Yes, sir. You had explained this. You have experienced this in your own setup also, sir. I have heard in one of your lectures. You had conducted a trial.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the next question is to Sanjeev, sir, from Dr. Bhavsa. In your clinical practice per day, how many patients you recommend to go for screening test for CVD, sir?
Well, it's a very good question. Roughly, in the pre-COVID era, obviously ECG we take annually, and the risk score, we usually measure the JBS or the QRS3, that we measure routinely. Additional tests are based upon the indications. But yes, of late, in last 4 years, we have started routinely screening all the people above the age of 40 for coronary artery calcium screening. And this has proved to be a very, very useful test, which is very much underutilized. And I showed you the data that if the score is 0, you can predict that this patient is at a very low risk of cardiovascular event, at least for next 3 years. But if score is high, we have to be more aggressive as far as statin therapy is concerned, probably even aspirin also, though aspirin does not have much primary preventive value. But still, in high-risk patient, there are studies which have shown that. And if patient is obviously symptomatic, we need to evaluate their coronary angio also. So coronary artery calcium score, I think, is the best and the most effective and still cheap. It hardly costs 2,000, 3,000 rupees, non-invasive. So we recommend routinely to all our patients. Unfortunately, in this COVID era, the screening has become a little bit less vigilant because in the CT scan, there are so many patients of COVID going. But again, with vaccine coming up and with new hopes, the things would return to normal, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sanjeev Phatak, Dr. Mayur Patel here.
Yes, Mayur bhai.
Yeah, good afternoon.
What are the organized conference, sir?
Thank you very much. My question to you is, what are the chances of high false positive results for the calcium scoring?
Well, calcium score does not mean that patient is having coronary artery stenosis. It is an indicator of atherosclerosis. Sometimes it may be in the intima, sometimes it may not be obstructing the lumen also. But yes, when calcium score is very high, the chances of getting a positive coronary angiography are very, very high. Does not mean that everyone with high score should be undergoing coronary angiography unless the patient has symptoms, or if your suspicion index is high and if the risk factors are also there, I think this patient should undergo coronary angiogram. But you rightly said that it is not a guarantee that this patient is likely to have coronary artery disease. We had some patients who had score of 1100, 1200, and their coronaries were normal. On the other hand, we had patients whose score was 150 and they had double or triple vessel disease. So some fallacies do occur, but it is mainly because of the atherosclerosis, which is not inside the lumen, but outside the lumen, maybe. Maybe you are very experienced in this regard, so I would like to have your opinion also regarding this.
I totally agree with you. To sum up, for diabetes patient, it's a very good test, a screening
Yes.
test. Because diabetic people, there are more chances of having triple vessel disease or multiple lesions we can detect, and they are at the high risk of CVD. So it's a very good, I would say, cheaper and relatively non-invasive test.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is one more question from Dr. Bhavsar to Dr. Deepdatta, sir. All the studies done on SGLT2 inhibitors have different criteria and even different molecules. So how can we choose which SGLT2 inhibitor can be used in any particular patient?
So very nice question. I think it depends for what is the primary objective. Most of the initial CVOTs were done in patients with multiple risk factors for an established cardiovascular disease. Of course, the glycemic efficacy and durability was documented, but the CV benefits were unexpected and they came out so beautifully. What we must realize in all those trials, the mean age of patients were between 62 to 63 to 65 years. In our country, where the diabetes pandemic is at the peak and the peak onset of type 2 diabetes is in the mid 30s, we should not expect that exactly in toto the results which were seen in the CVOTs will be replicated. I think we need to generate our own data to see how things work in our setting. Frankly speaking, in majority of our patients, we are using SGLT2 inhibitors as a part of multi-drug therapy. Why? Because they have a good glycemic efficacy and durability, and they have some good weight loss properties also, which works even better when given along with metformin. And diabesity is a major problem, especially in urban India. So those are the scenarios we are trying to tackle when we think of SGLT2 inhibitors in a young Indian type 2 diabetes patients.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much to all the speakers for answering all the questions wonderfully. Now we would end our discussion here and we'll move on to our next session. So before moving on to our next session, I would like to inform our delegates that you can put up any question if you have by clicking on the red box which says ask the question, which will be answered by our speakers at the end of the session.